drop down to Kevin, Public Defender's Office. Thank you for coming and thank you for your report. Hope your new folks are starting to get settled in.
Thank you. Good evening. Good to see everybody again. And this reporting period, I finally did file a written report. So I know it's evening, it's late, we've had a long day. I won't dwell too much on this written report, but I do want to add, is it on? Okay. For those interested, as far as our overall staffing numbers, now that we've added 2 new full-time attorneys, we are at a total of 19 attorneys in the Public Defender's Office. Of those 19, 13 are part-time independent contractors. Those 13 part-time independent contractors cover a total of 17 independent contracts. So 17 just court slots, if you will. So we have some overlap there. A few of our independent contractors actually have multiple contracts with our office. Beyond the independent contractors, we now have 6 full-time attorneys, and that includes me. And as far as office staff, we are down to 1 office staff, and that being Kristen Collins, our office manager. Unfortunately, we recently lost our full-time receptionist to the state's attorney's office. So, but those are our numbers for staffing, and that's really all I wanted to add to my written report for anybody who's interested. So if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Well, thank you for submitting that, and hopefully your 2 new hires are getting settled in. Does anybody have any questions? All right, well, thank you for staying and presenting for us. We've got Mark and Brian next for the Tyler Enterprise Supervision portion.
Hello. Yeah, I'll go ahead and start, provide a summary. So the Illinois Supreme Court issued a couple years ago new data set requirements for probation. We immediately reached out to IT and Tyler Technologies to try to find a workaround solution. We spent a year and a half, 2 years testing some of those solutions. It unfortunately came to a resolution. There wasn't a workable solution to our problem to collect that. So then IT and Mark got into Tyler about doing an upgrade that would allow us to collect all that information. So that is really like a short summary of it. Happy to answer any questions. So.
Thank you. All right, anybody have any questions? I know you may have seen this before. No questions? Well, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to resolutions. Can I get a motion for the Jean Lagoon Animal Welfare Grant? Rob and Danny. And I think, Shauna, are you going
to? Good evening, everybody. All right, this is a grant that Becky applied for PCAPS. The intent, it's for $5,000, and the intent is we will use that to purchase supplies for the new spay-neuter mobile unit that we'll be receiving later this summer. Happy to answer any questions.
I believe Becky is tied up elsewhere, correct?
She's tied up, yes.
Any questions on this grant? All right, sounds good. Thank you. All in favor, sorry. We'll vote on it. Opposed? All right. And can we run the next 2 together? No? Okay. So can I get a motion for the redeploy services contract? Danny and Rob. All right. Who's doing that one?
I can briefly summarize, and then I know Brian can supplement anything that I leave out. This resolution, Madam Chair, and the next one are connected to each other. Each year, the probation office, both in adult and juvenile, participates in the redeploy program of the state. This before you tonight is related to juvenile redeploy. What we do each year is we obtain a grant, and then we use those grant dollars to outsource the services of the redeploy program. As you can see in the agenda briefing, for the contracted service, it's for the upcoming state fiscal year that starts July 1. It's for an amount not to exceed $490,000. What that does, and it's 100% pass-through, so it will go towards services of redeploy, and Brian can answer any direct detail questions you might have about what those services are and who's going to deliver those services. But we use those grant dollars that are in the next resolution then to pay for these services as a pass-through. So happy to answer any questions, and if you want, Brian can provide some additional detail.
Thank you. Could you maybe provide a little bit about the reimbursement and what is being submitted?
Sure. So this will actually be our first year for the juvenile program, which is a little different. But what it's going to do is it's going to provide us the ability to have a contractual therapist that solely works with a caseload of our youth, to eliminate the barrier of being on waiting lists, that kind of stuff. In addition, we're going to have engagement specialists, which will work with the whole family for a youth that's on probation. And they will eliminate the barrier of our transportation and our youth not having the ability to always come down to us by going into the home and providing those services. So in addition to the therapist, the 2 family engagement specialists will also have a case manager that will provide a lot of the linkage to the different services that each youth needs. Those are the 3 biggest components of that. The other funding pieces will be smaller things like tutoring, mentoring, and other services that are identified through assessments that each youth individually would need.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any questions about this grant? All right. If there are no questions, we'll go ahead and vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All righty. And now we have the actual agreement with DHS. Do you want to explain that, Scott?
Happy to, Madam Chair. You're going to get a motion in a second on the
Need a
floor.
motion, Sharon and Danny.
All right. So again, this is the funding piece that goes along with the resolution that you just voted on prior. Again, it's for the state fiscal year starting July 1 in an amount not to exceed $490,000. It's a reimbursable grant, so we only will get reimbursed for costs that we incur from the 2 providers that were in the prior resolution. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? These 2 go together, obviously. If there's no questions, we'll go ahead and vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right. Do we have any public comment? I don't believe so. Nothing for miscellaneous? All right, then we will adjourn.